Welcome to Future Commerce, the podcast about cutting edge and next generation commerce. I'm Philip, and I am joined today by Jessica Davidoff, who is the CEO at State Bags in New York. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. We just met, so you're so gracious to come join us. I'd love for you to tell your story and tell our listeners and the people watching what State Bags is and who Jessica is.
Sure. So I am the CEO of State Bags. We are a backpack and accessories company for men, women, and kids, and we're a give back brand. So for every bag we sell, we support American children and families in need in the ways they need it most, whether that's funding special projects through partner charities or donating fully stocked backpacks to children for school. It's a big component of who we are as a brand. And I have been consulting for the brand for several years prior to meeting the two founders, which is a husband-wife team, Scott and Jack Tadelman. I had founded a tech startup in the education space, and when we were acquired, I looked to other industries to kind of dabble and get my feet wet, and fell in love with State and came on board as interim CEO and have stayed for the past year.
Tell me a little bit about the company and the products. What is you currently sell online? I take it from the session that I just saw you in.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So we are a direct-to-consumer brand, but we also have a ton of amazing wholesale partners. We have men, women, and kids products. We started off with mainly backpacks. We really made a name for ourselves with our kids' backpacks, but then we also expanded into the men and women categories. After the backpacks really took off, we added to the line, and we have tote bags, we have small accessories like fanny packs, which is one of our highest growth items in our collection.
Right?
I know.
Fanny packs and Fila, it's back.
I know. And what's crazy is my dad has been a huge fanny pack proponent for years, and it's like cringeworthy, and now all of a sudden he's
a
so on trend.
He's a visionary.
Exactly.
And Birkenstock, does he wear Birkenstocks? Because they're back.
I know.
Birkenstocks are back.
He doesn't wear them, but I feel like maybe he could. But yeah, he's the trendsetter of the family.
Who's your customer at State Bags?
So it's interesting. When I came on board, we, as a company, didn't really know who our customer was because we weren't doing a lot of kind of pouring through the data. And now, after I've been on board, we have done a ton of work discovering who our customer is. We've done surveying, and the average customer for us is a woman. She's a mom. She's 36. She lives in an urban environment, and a lot of women do discover us via their children, buying backpacks for their kids, and then lunch boxes and other accessories, and then realizing slowly that we have products for their whole family. So we have incredible tote bags, and we have dop kits for travel, and we have briefcases and work bags, and she's kind of slowly discovering all of the different adult products that can kind of round out the family, as well as make great giftables.
We just saw you, we're live, by the way, here at eTail East in Boston, and it's my first time to this show, but I've been to pretty much every other trade show in this industry, as I'm sure you have. It's very rare for me to be able to see a panel where you have sort of a spread. You were just on this panel, a spread of the types of sizes and the categories of business. So the panel you were just on was with Vitamin Shoppe and CVS.
Yes.
Right. And they were talking about customer journey mapping and sort of understanding who your customer is. And we were talking before the show here about how those businesses have a challenge of operationalizing that at scale. And you said something that I think is so on message for us and what we've been talking about at Future Commerce, which is you bootstrap a lot of that you don't wait to figure out how you do it at scale. You actually go and talk to your customer. Tell us a little bit about that and how you do that as a CEO, how you talk to your customer and how you get to know her.
Yeah, so for us, everything was all kind of stemming from curiosity. So when I came on board as CEO, I had a million questions and realized that nobody had really analyzed the data to get the answers to those questions. And so I think it starts with an inquisitive mind and trying to learn as much as you can about a brand. And so the first thing I wanted to define was who our customer was. Once we kind of poured through the data and learned where she lives, what's she buying, what's the most likely second purchase for someone who goes from a one-time customer to a repeat customer, and then looking at our real power customers who are 3 or more purchases and really mapping out what they're buying. You're really trying to understand that entire life cycle of discovery, coming to become a customer, and then becoming a repeat, and then becoming an advocate and telling your friends about us. And so interestingly for us, it was very manual. We didn't really have any sort of templates or tools that we kind of worked with. It started with just brain dumping questions and then diving into tons and tons of spreadsheets and doing it really manually, and then coming up with hypotheses and doing just a ton of tests.
We recently had Jeremy King, who used to be the CTO at Walmart Labs. He was on the show. He spent 8 years at eBay, and he said back in the Meg Whitman days at eBay, every single person in leadership at eBay was given 10 customers to have to talk to.
Oh, wow.
And I find that there's this conversation that keeps coming up this year in particular, that we need to have better relationship with customers,
Right.
and that we need to know who they are, and we need to know what they need.
Yeah.
And but I think there are challenges there, because you said in your session, sometimes you ask them, you talk to them, and you ask them what they want, and it's not always the data you get is interesting. Maybe you could say a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, for us, we did a lot of surveying when I first came on board to not only find out who people are, but also what they would love for us to create in terms of expanding our product line. And, one of the things that people were saying that they wanted was that they wanted, leather bags from us, and they wanted kind of little purses. And obviously purses are a huge component of the bag industry.
For sure.
So we said, yeah, sure. So we jumped on that and, launched different size purses in all different colors. And they were not a good seller. They were one of our worst sellers ever. And it's really funny because, sometimes when you ask a customer what they want, it's not necessarily something that they know, and they might say that they want that, but maybe it's that they want that, but not from your brand. And so I think at the end of the day, it's really important to know your own brand. And even if you know what the customer wants, it's really analyzing, do they want that from our brand, and is that part of our brand story to give it to them? Or is it going to kind of lead us astray from who we are as a company, and also who our customers really are? And as I was saying on the panel, our original marketing strategy before I came on board was really hyper-targeted at millennials. So we were doing tons of influencer gifting and tons of promotion to very trendy young millennials. And when we broke down who our customer is and realized that she's 36 and she's a mom, we knew she's not following those influencers, and she's not going to Coachella where we were doing all of this promotional work. And so all of these marketing efforts were a waste almost, because our core customer wasn't resonating with
You might capture a sale, but you don't necessarily capture the customer.
Exactly. And they might buy one fanny pack, but they're not, who our true identity is. And I think that's really important, is knowing who you are and not trying to be everything to everyone.
I find this sort of return to basics is it's kind of counter-programming to the conversation that I hear a lot, especially in the venture circles, around growth.
Yeah.
And you want to capture every sale, you want to close every opportunity or convert every customer.
Right.
I didn't prepare you for this, but I'm curious what your philosophy is as a CEO of how you might invest in the long-term true lifetime value of that customer relationship, and is that at the product level, and or is that something deeper?
Yeah, so I think for us it was really determining, the first was who the customer is, and then really mapping out who we want to be for her and him and their kids. And so the big thing for us was knowing that we want to play in a person's life in between. So we're not going to be the bag that you take out on date night. We're not going to be, your purse that you take to complement an outfit. We're not going to be the bag you bring to a wedding. We're going to be your bag that you bring to the gym. We're going to be the bag you bring on an airplane when you're traveling. We're going to be the bag you bring to work. And we are going to be the bag you might bring while you're doing something kind of sporty on the weekends, like a low-key hike, not like Everest hiking.
Right.
And so by defining the kind of use cases as well as our customer, we then were able to look at the products that we had, and we were able to do a ton of SKU rationalization. We actually cut about a third of our SKUs.
Wow.
Because we realized that our customer, despite the fact that she might have said, I want small purses, like she's not coming to us for purses.
Right.
And that was really eye-opening for us. And so I think for us, it really starts off with understanding who they are, what we and where we want to serve in terms of products. And so that has allowed us to get rid of things that weren't working, that weren't something that our customer would buy from us, and then also expand into new lines.
Right.
And fanny packs, are one of those areas where we're like, yes, like this is an area where someone's like running out to the gym, they don't need a lot of stuff, we're going to put that in, or I'm going out on a low-key hike, or I'm going on a bike ride. And that's something that our customer wants from us. It's like off-duty, the life in between. It's not the kind of bag that you're bringing for an event.
It's so interesting because again, it seems like there is a trend in your space, at least in sort of travel or bags, that the growth of category is the way that you capture repeat business with a customer. And it sounds like you're narrowing category. Is that like worrisome, or does that feel like a risk for you to narrow category in like a very seasonal and very category expansive type of a business?
Well, so I think for me, it's not necessarily a narrowing, it's a narrowing and then an expansion.
So an expansion more into your core competency.
Yeah, right. So when I came in, I looked at kind of all of the SKUs we had and said, okay, we got to cut 1/3 of them because they're not serving our core customer, and they're not necessarily what she or he wants from us. So we're going to just acknowledge that those were mistakes, and we're going to cut them, and we're going to focus on what we have. And then we're going to look at what we have, and then from there see where we can expand. So we have introduced new lines and new products since I've come on board, but we've also cut so many. So net, we do have fewer SKUs than when I started, but they're much more targeted, and they're in materials and colorways that our customers really, really want and love. And now, our recent back to school collection, which we launched in July, it's 90% sold out.
Wow.
Of everything. There's like literally 2 SKUs left. It's crazy. And it's really a testament of figuring out what our customers want and really just delivering it for them.
Do you ask yourself in that case, and not to put you on the spot, but do you ask yourself in that case if there's a did you hit it on the mark, or could you have gone deeper and take a better position on that sort of inventory? Tell me a little bit about that mindset from a CEO of the balance between like meeting customer needs and leaving some money on the table.
Yeah, I mean, so for us, I think that I could have never imagined this level of growth. So we have hit 100% year-on-year growth.
Wow. Congratulations.
Which was crazy. And so I think for me, I was kind of like, we're going to be great. Because last year, last summer, we had amazing growth over this the summer of 2017. And I said, okay, like if we can do a little bit better than we did last year, like we'll be amazing, because we hit really big numbers. We like blew my projections out of the water, which is awesome, but now we're sold out. And obviously what we're doing, if someone really, really falls in love with one of the things that we don't have on our site, we're directing them to our wholesale partners, which they're obviously really happy about.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So they're very, very happy when they get, people going to either their website or their store. And we do have hundreds of specialty stores who carry us. We partner with Bloomingdale's and Shop Up and Zappos as well. So I think it's really great for us to be able to send people to them when we're sold out. But I do think, next year we're going even bigger now that we really feel like we nailed what our customer wants.
What do you think is on the horizon? And I'll let you kind of interpret the question as you see fit, but what do you think is on the horizon for a direct-to-consumer brand in your space? Is it following micro trends? I'll give you an example. CBD's in everything right now. And I see a lot of promotion of sustainability, which might be a macro trend. What do
Right.
you think is like the outlook for the next year or two of a brand like yours in your category?
So we're gonna infuse all of our bags with CBD. So they're gonna be lickable. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, but
Um,
hemp might be an interesting.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've thought about?
so we haven't looked into hemp just yet. It's not one of the materials that we've actually like started to focus on, but sustainability is. So obviously we're a give back brand, and
Right.
everything that we do kind of stems from our founder's story of their nonprofit summer camp and watching kids get off the bus with their belongings in ripped trash bags or
Wow.
shopping bags. And so that's the founding story. And so we've always done everything and made every decision in order to give back the most. And now looking at where we're going and the conversations around the fashion industry as a whole, we want to not only give back to American children and families, but we also want to give back to the planet.
Right.
So we're ensuring we created a 5-year plan because sustainability is very complicated. A lot of people
Sure.
are like, "Oh, we're sustainable."
Right.
There's
There's a
so
difference
many
between like
things.
putting out a press release and actually doing
Yeah,
it.
there's
Right.
so many things, and we are creating our own playbook for sustainability. We have a 5-year plan that we're rolling out for materials, packaging, the ethical working conditions at factories, the waste that's produced by our factories and how we're using it. In 2020, we're launching our first zero waste bag. So that for us is something huge that we're working on a macro level across the company. And then we are also focusing on expanding our kids line into something extremely exciting in 2020, and we're really, really excited
Oh,
about.
well, we'll keep a
Yes.
lookout for that. That sounds really interesting. I have 2 small girls, 7 and 8
amazing.
years old,
Oh my
and they go through bags. I'll tell you what. But
Yeah.
there's an interesting component to sort of like there are brands today that are doing things that are really unexpected, but now as a father of 2 small children, I sort of love the idea of there's family brands
Yeah.
where you have the ability to sort of have the shoe at every size, Yeezy's doing this.
I know.
But there's this really interesting thing about, sort of sharing that retail experience or having a product that the family sort of shares together.
Yeah.
I find that really, really interesting from a,
Yeah.
anyway. Where can people find you online if they wanted to check out State Bags and maybe yourself too?
Yeah, so we are at www.statebags.com, and we're at State Bags on Instagram. I'm at just B Davidoff on Instagram, and and that's where we are.